The galaxy had always laughed at humanity, not because humans were weak, but because they were small. A young species from a quiet blue planet, a species that fought among themselves for centuries, then somehow crawled into the stars with old engines and fragile dreams. To the great powers of the galaxy, humanity was nothing more than a joke. So, when the humans announced the launch of their new warship, the Silent Star, the galaxy didn't react with fear, it reacted with laughter. On the capital world of the Vakaran Empire, alien leaders gathered in a grand hall made of crystal towers and golden walls. They watched the human transmission, a simple image of a long black ship leaving Earth's orbit. It was quiet, slow, and not impressive to their eyes. "Is that their great ship?" one of the Vakaran generals asked. His scaled hands shook with laughter. Another alien leaned back in his chair, amused. "That's not a warship. That's a piece of space trash." The hall filled with mocking voices. Across the galaxy, on other planets and stations, the reaction was the same. Memes, jokes, and broadcasts spread. Holograms of the human ship were turned into cartoons dancing in zero gravity. Commentators on alien news channels laughed as they called it the Black Snail or Earth's paper boat. The great powers didn't even bother to scan the ship. Why would they? Humans couldn't build anything dangerous, at least. That's what they believed. Far away in Earth orbit, the real story was happening. The Silent Star floated in darkness. From the outside it looked ordinary, maybe even weak. But inside its black armor, the ship was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The bridge was silent. No flashing colors, no loud alarms, just calm, controlled focus. Commander Raina Hale stood near the observation window. She was tall, steady, and her eyes were fixed on the stars. Around her, the crew moved with quiet precision. Every button pressed, every command given, was like part of a well-rehearsed song. "Stealth grid stable," one of the officers said. "Quantum core at 90%, another added. Raina nodded slowly. "Good, let them laugh." The Silent Star was not built to be loud. It was built to disappear. On alien networks, the laughter grew louder. News anchors said things like, "This is humanity's greatest weapon? We should send them a real ship as a gift." A Vakaran fleet admiral even announced live, "If they ever face us, their ship will burn in seconds." But what none of them knew was this: the ship they mocked was already gone. Hours after the launch, the Silent Star vanished from all scanners. It didn't jump like a normal ship. It didn't leave a trail. It simply slipped into the dark between the stars, without a sound. In a dim war room on Earth, President Elena Voss stood in front of a large screen speaking with military advisors. "They're laughing at us," one general said, sounding frustrated. "The entire galaxy is mocking our ship." "Good," Elena replied calmly. The room went silent. She continued, "Let them think we're weak. Let them keep laughing. When the storm comes, they won't hear it. They won't see it. They'll just disappear." The generals exchanged quiet looks. They knew what the Silent Star truly was. Not just a ship, but a weapon born from desperation and genius. A ship designed to end battles before they began. In deep space, far beyond the mapped star lanes, the Silent Star drifted like a ghost. No signal, no light. Even its heat signature was erased. The crew sat in silence. Only the soft hum of the engines filled the air. "Contact range?" Raina asked. 72 light-years from Sol," the navigator replied. She nodded. "Good, time to test the silence." The ship adjusted, its course toward a Vakaran patrol sector, a place where alien fleets often traveled. The galaxy thought humans couldn't hide. The galaxy was about to learn it couldn't even find them. On a Vakaran battleship called Iron Tooth, Captain Raz looked over his scanners. It was a quiet night in deep space. "Any contacts?" he asked lazily. His crew shook their heads. "Nothing, Captain. Only empty stars." Then something flickered. "Just a glitch." A single line of static across the scanner. "Run that again," Raz said, suddenly alert. The crew checked. Nothing. He shook his head. "Probably just system noise. Humans can't reach this far anyway." He leaned back in his chair, but above their ship, floating in absolute silence, the Silent Star watched, cloaked, patient. Raina stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the Vakaran vessel. "Target lock?" she asked. "Locked," the weapons officer replied. "Transmission ready," comms added. Rayner gave a thin, cold smile. Send it. On the Iron Tooth, the lights flickered. A faint human voice came through their communication system. Just 3 words. I laughed first and then was silence. The enemy captain froze. Alarms started flashing. Systems failed one by one. The ship's engines died without a sound. Panic spread among the Vakaran crew. Where is it? I can't see anything. Something's on top of us. But there was nothing on their scanners. Nothing at all. Then their screens went black and the sky went silent. Hours later, alien news networks reported something strange. The Iron Tooth, a strong patrol ship with hundreds of crew members, had vanished. No distress calls. No battle record, just gone. The same people who laughed at humanity's paper boat now stared at the stars with unease. For the first time, they weren't laughing. They were listening. Deep in the darkness, the silent star drifted away, leaving no trace. Commander Rayner stood with her hands behind her back. One down, she whispered. The crew said nothing, because silence was their greatest weapon, and this was only the beginning. The galaxy didn't understand what had happened. The Iron Tooth, one of the strongest Vakaran patrol ships, had disappeared without a trace. No explosion, no wreckage, no survivors, just silence. The news spread like fire through the stars. Alien anchors spoke with nervous smiles, trying to make jokes, but their eyes showed fear. Admirals ordered deeper scans of the sector. Fleet commanders whispered late at night. Something had happened out there. Something they could not explain, and at the center of it all was the human ship they had once laughed at, the Silent Star. Far away, hidden in a dark sector of space, the Silent Star floated like a shadow. Commander Rayner Hale stood in the center of the bridge. Around her, the crew worked quietly. There was no shouting, no chaos. Everything moved like part of a calm storm. Stealth grid stable, reported the tech officer. Quantum cloak at 100%, said the engineer. Rayner nodded slowly. Good. Let's see what they do next. On the large screen, news reports from alien networks appeared in silent windows. Some laughed nervously. Some claimed the Iron Tooth had suffered an accident. But others whispered about a ghost in the stars, a ship no one could see. In the Vakaran Military Command Center, Admiral Torvin slammed his fist on the table. His red eyes glowed with anger. An entire ship does not vanish into space, he roared. Something attacked us. Something silent. His officers stood stiff, scared to speak. One of them finally whispered, Sir, the only other vessel reported near that sector was a human ship. Humans, Torvin spat. Their ship is a toy. They can't do this. But even as he said it, the room was silent. Deep inside, they all felt it. Fear. Back on the Silent Star, preparations continued. Inside the lower decks, engineers and scientists worked on strange technology. Invisible drones, silent EMP spheres, dark energy projectors. Everything was designed to strike fast and vanish. Chief Engineer Mara Quinn wiped her hands on a cloth. All systems are ready, she told Rayner. We can disappear faster than their scanners can blink. Good, Rayner said. Then let's move. The crew felt the ship shift slightly as it entered a new course. Its engines made no sound. The stars outside changed slowly. Set destination, Rayner ordered. Vakaran listening station, navigation replied. Sector 19, 1 jump. Rayner gave a small, calm smile. Jump. The ship vanished without a flash. At the Vakaran listening station, a group of bored soldiers stared at screens. It's been quiet all night, one said. Humans are probably still fixing their toy ship, another joked. But then the lights flickered. Just for a second, what was that? Someone asked. Probably nothing. The power went out. Above the station, invisible and silent, the Silent Star hovered like a shadow. Rayner watched the display. All power sources are offline. No communications. The weapons officer locked onto the station's power core. A tiny pulse of dark energy shot down. There was no explosion, no bright flash. Just a sudden complete stop. Target neutralized, the officer said softly. Rayner nodded. Good. No witnesses. The ship turned and slipped away, leaving nothing behind but cold silence. The next day, Vakaran Command received another message. Listening Station 19. Lost no signals, no bodies, no trace. Admiral Torvin's anger turned into something worse, fear. He gathered his top officers. Someone is hunting us, he said, but who? An officer asked. The humans? He slammed his hand again. If it is the humans, then we are at war. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Elena Voss received a secure transmission. Rayna's face appeared on the screen, calm and cold as always. Second target is down, Rayna reported. Elena nodded slowly. They still don't know who's doing this. Not yet, Rayna replied. But they're starting to understand. And the silence scares them more than any battle. Elena gave a faint smile. Good. Fear is useful. But remember, we strike clean. No noise, no chaos. Only silence. On alien news channels, the panic was spreading. 2 Vakaran fleets gone. No fight, no warning. A famous alien host spoke nervously to the camera. Is there a new superweapon? The night sky over Vakaran space was no longer quiet. The once proud fleets now moved like frightened animals, turning their scanners in every direction. The loss of the Iron Tooth and the silence of Listening Station 19 had changed everything. The hunters of the galaxy were starting to feel like prey. Inside the main war chamber of Vakaran High Command, Admiral Torvin stood before a massive, glowing map. Red dots marked every patrol, every sensor network, every emergency beacon. But in the dark center of the map was an empty zone, the place where their fleets had vanished. This thing is not a ghost, Torvin growled. It's a ship. A human ship. The officers around him didn't laugh anymore. There were no jokes now. One of them cleared his throat. Sir, we've doubled the patrols, activated long-range scanners and placed a bounty on any human vessel. Torvin turned, his eyes like burning steel. Good, then find them. And when you do... His hand slammed down on the table. Burn them out of the stars. But far away, beyond their senses, the silent star watched them. The human crew sat inside the silent bridge like hunters in the dark. Commander Rayna Hale leaned over the console as blue light danced across her face. They're scared, said her second-in-command, Eli Ward, a small smile on his lips. They should be, Rayna replied. Fear makes them weak. On the display, they could see the Vakaran fleets moving in confusion. Their ships zigzagged through space, wasting fuel, chasing shadows. The silent star didn't need to fight them head-on. It only needed to strike once, then disappear. In a hidden chamber deep inside the ship, Chief Engineer Mara Quinn and her team prepared a new weapon. It wasn't a laser or a missile. It was something far more dangerous. A signal. This pulse will make their scanners blind, Mara explained to Rayna. It will look like their own systems failed. They'll never know we were here, Rayna nodded. Perfect. Tonight the hunters will lose their eyes. The Vakaran fleet, Battle Group Vornak, moved through Sector Delta, one of their most heavily guarded zones. 5 destroyers, 2 cruisers, and 1 battleship cut through the stars like a silver spear. The captain of the lead ship stood tall on the bridge. Activate sensor net, he ordered. But before his words finished echoing, the lights flickered. Sir, a crewman shouted. We just lost our scanners. What? All systems? Offline. Above the fleet, invisible and silent, the silent star hovered like a shadow. Pulse away, Mara said calmly. A soft hum filled the air, but no alien ear could hear it. One by one, Vakaran ships went blind. Their engines were alive, but their vision was gone. Rayna gave the order with quiet precision. Drones, go! Hundreds of black drones slid out from the ship's belly like silent raindrops. They moved fast, attaching themselves to enemy hulls without a sound. Each one carried a small EMP bomb, not to destroy but to paralyze within minutes. The fleet froze in space like statues. Panic filled the alien bridges. We can't move. No weapons. Where is it coming from? But no one had answers. They were the hunters of the galaxy. And now they couldn't even see the enemy. Then, as quickly as it began, the silent star vanished into the darkness. When the Vakaran reinforcements arrived an hour later, they found their powerful fleet floating dead and cold. Not a single shot had been fired. Not a single alarm had been triggered. The admirals watched in silence. The hunters had been hunted. News of the attack hit every corner of the galaxy like a storm. Alien anchors spoke with shaking voices. An entire battle group disabled. No sign of battle. No survivors. No enemy signal. The other empires watched carefully. Some were afraid. Some were curious. But everyone was talking about one name now. Humans. They were supposed to be weak, whispered a Skeleth warlord. So why do their enemies fall without a sound? Back on the silent star, the crew gathered in the war room. A holographic projection of the disabled fleet floated in the air like a ghost. Eli leaned back with a grin. 3 hits in a row. They still have no idea where we are. Rayna didn't smile. Her eyes were cold, sharp like a blade. Good, let them panic. The more they fear us, the less they'll fight back. Mara crossed her arms. But they'll get desperate soon. Desperate enemies make mistakes. That's when they're the most dangerous, Rayna nodded. And that's when we'll strike the heart. In Vakaran High Command, Admiral Torvin watched the news feed in silence. His fleets had been humiliated. His people were losing faith. Then a small encrypted message reached him. A deep voice spoke through static. "We know where the human ship will go next, and we can help you find it." Torvin narrowed his eyes. "Who are you?" "Someone who wants them destroyed," the voice replied. "The humans must not rise." Meanwhile, Rayna stood alone on the bridge of the Silent Star. She looked out at the sea of stars and whispered to herself, "They laughed at our ship. They called us weak, but soon they'll beg us to stop." In the darkness, the ship drifted silently, the invisible predator in a galaxy of frightened prey. This was no longer a simple mission. This was war in the shadows. The stars over Sector 12 looked calm. But it was a lie. Hidden between 2 dying suns, the Vakaran Empire had prepared something special. Admiral Torvin stood on the command deck of their flagship, Bloodfang. His cold eyes scanned the tactical display. Dozens of ships surrounded a single dark space corridor. The corridor was quiet now, but they all knew. This was the path the Silent Star would use next. "This time," Torvin said slowly, "the humans will not vanish. This time they walk into our jaws." The trap was perfect, or at least it looked perfect. Hundreds of Vakaran warships waited silently, their heat signatures hidden behind decoy fields. A ring of mines surrounded the corridor. Above them, cloaked listening stations hovered like vultures. And in the center of it all, a massive graviton snare, a machine so powerful it could hold a moon still. "Even if they try to run," Torvin said with a cruel smile, "we'll crush them like insects." His officers nodded. The humiliation of the last battles had burned into their pride. This was their chance to turn fear into victory. Meanwhile, light years away, inside the Silent Star, Commander Rayna Hale watched the incoming data feed. Mara Quinn's voice echoed in the war room. "They're baiting us. Look at this corridor. It's too clean. Too quiet. The Vakaran don't do quiet." Eli leaned against the console. "It's a trap. It screams trap. So why are we still going there?" Rayna looked up. Her eyes were calm, sharp as steel. "Because they think we'll run. But we're not like them. We don't run." The crew fell silent. They knew what she meant. If they avoided this corridor, the Vakaran would keep tightening their hold. But if they broke this trap, the entire galaxy would know the truth. Humanity wasn't hiding anymore. Hours later, the Silent Star entered the corridor. On the Bloodfang, alarms began to flash. "They're here," an officer shouted. "The human ship has entered the zone." Torvin straightened. "Lock the snare. Activate the mines." The trap came alive. The stars exploded with light. Graviton beams wrapped around the Silent Star, pulling it toward the center of the trap. Dozens of warships lit up their weapons. Torpedoes armed, cannons charged, but something was wrong. Their ship, "It's not resisting," one Vakaran captain said nervously. Torvin's smile widened. "Good. They know they're finished." But on the human ship, the crew wasn't panicking. Rayna stood at the center of the bridge, hands behind her back. "Phase 2, she said softly. Eli tapped a sequence. Mara grinned like a wolf, then the Silent Star disappeared. "What?" Torvin slammed his fist on the console. "Where did they go?" "They were in the snare," a tech officer shouted. "And now they're gone." Rayna's voice suddenly echoed through Vakaran channels, calm and cold. "You built your trap well, but you forgot something. You can't trap the dark when it already lives inside it." The Silent Star had cloaked itself with an experimental field. The graviton snare was strong, but it couldn't hold what it couldn't see. Then the first explosion hit. One of the mine stations lit up like a sun as human drones ripped through it. 2 Vakaran ships vanished in a burst of fire. "They're attacking us from inside the trap." Torvin's face twisted. "All ships fire in every direction." But that only made it worse. The fleet was shooting blindly. Chaos spread. Their perfect formation broke apart like glass. In the middle of the madness, the silent star reappeared behind the bloodfang. Rayna leaned forward. "Open channel," Eli nodded. "Admiral Torvin," Rayna's voice filled his bridge, "you mocked us. You thought we were small, but you forgot the one rule of hunting in the dark." A human drone attached itself to the flagship's hull. Lights flickered. Systems screamed. Never laugh at the thing that hunts you. A blast rocked the bloodfang. The shockwave tore through the fleet. Power died. Engines screamed. Torvin fell to the floor as red lights flashed all around him. They hit the core. A Vakaran officer shouted. Rayna's ship vanished again, melting into the dark like smoke. In less than 5 minutes, the trap became a graveyard. From orbit, listening stations recorded everything. Thousands of alien species watched as the mighty Vakaran trap collapsed. Ships burned. Mines exploded. The graviton snare floated dead, and one message echoed through every corner of the galaxy. They mocked humanity's ship. Now the sky answers with silence. Back on the silent star, the crew stared at the display. Another Vakaran fleet destroyed. Another victory in the shadows, Eli exhaled slowly. "We just crushed their biggest trap," Mara smirked. "They think they're hunters." The galaxy was no longer laughing. For months, the silent star had moved through space like a ghost, striking without warning, then vanishing into the dark. Every trap, every ambush, every Vakaran fleet sent against it ended in silence. Worlds that once mocked humans now spoke their name with fear. But fear doesn't only travel in the open. It grows in the shadows. It whispers. And now those whispers were starting to spread. In the hidden chamber of the fractured council, leaders of many alien empires gathered. Their faces flickered through floating holograms, cold eyes, sharp fangs, strange shapes from distant worlds. At the center of the chamber, High Speaker Enthra raised a long hand. "The humans must be stopped," she hissed. "The Vakaran failed. If they fall, we all fall," a heavy voice answered from another hologram. "They were weak. They underestimated them. We won't." Another alien leaned forward, its skin like blue stone. "We could destroy their homeworld. But we can't find it. Their ship moves like a shadow. Their people stay hidden. They've become something dangerous," Enthra whispered. "Not soldiers, hunters." The chamber went silent. For the first time, these proud rulers were afraid of one human ship. Meanwhile, light years away, inside the silent star, the crew gathered around the central hollow table. The room was dim, filled with the low hum of the engines. Eli leaned over the table. "They're scared of us now. Even their council can't agree what to do." Mara crossed her arms. "Scared enemies are unpredictable. They'll make big moves, desperate moves." Commander Rayna Hale looked at them quietly, her eyes locked on the map spinning in the air. Dozens of alien systems glowed red. Around them, green lights, human safe zones were few and scattered. "They'll try to unite," she said slowly. "The galaxy can't kill us alone. But if they stand together, they'll come close." The room grew quiet. Everyone knew she was right. On the other side of the galaxy, deep under a ruined moon, Admiral Torvin stood in the dark. His fleet was gone. His honor was broken. But his hate burned brighter than ever. A figure stepped out of the shadows to meet him. Tall, thin, wearing a long black cloak that moved like smoke. No name, no face. "You want revenge," the stranger said softly. Torvin's jaw tightened. "I want their ship turned to ash." "Then we have the same goal," the stranger replied. "The Council is building something, a weapon. One that will not miss." Torvin narrowed his eyes. "What kind of weapon?" The stranger smiled, and a smile that was not human. One built from fear. Back on the silent star, Mara tapped into intercepted communications. A distorted signal filled the air. "It's the Council," she said. "Encrypted transmissions. Heavily locked. But they're planning something big." Rayna leaned closer. "Can we break it?" "Already working on it." Mara's fingers danced across the controls. "Give me 2 hours." Eli stared at the star map. "Rayna, if they all unite, it's not just us. They'll go after every human colony left out there." Rayna didn't answer right away. Her mind wasn't on the map. It was on Earth, a world that was no longer safe but still home. "We're going to end this war before it becomes a storm," she finally said. "We stop them before they march." Hours later, the intercepted signal finally cracked. A deep, cold voice filled the bridge. The weapon will be completed soon. Once activated, no human ship will survive. The Empire will rise again. Mara's hands froze. They built something powerful. Eli's face hardened. A superweapon. Reyna stood tall. Her voice was calm but sharp as a blade. We find it. We destroy it. Before they use it. Far away in the hidden fortress of the Council, the construction of the weapon had already begun. Massive rings of black metal floated in orbit above a dying star. Thousands of alien workers swarmed like ants. The weapon had one purpose: to end humanity's rebellion in a single strike. And in the shadows of that massive structure, the hooded stranger watched silently, whispering to himself, "Let them come." On the silent star, the crew prepared for the next mission. Mara loaded new EMP drones. Eli checked the stealth systems. The young recruits in the lower decks whispered among themselves. Even they could feel it. Something big was coming. Reyna stood at the viewport, staring at the distant stars. "This ends where it began," she whispered. "They wanted war. Now they'll get it." But not everyone in the galaxy agreed with the Council. In small corners of space, some alien captains watched the humans with quiet respect. They had seen what the Silent Star did to the mighty Vakoran. One of them sent a single coded message into the void. "You are not alone." It was a small spark, but sometimes sparks grow into fire. On the Council fortress, alarms suddenly blared. One of their patrol stations had vanished without warning. A single message was carved into the wreckage, glowing like fire. "We are coming." Admiral Torvin watched the message with a snarl. "They're challenging us," he growled. The hooded stranger only smiled. "Yes," he whispered, "and we'll make them regret it." The galaxy held its breath. Whispers grew louder. The Great War was no longer a secret. It was coming. And when it came, the stars themselves would burn. The dying star burned faintly, its light red and broken. Around it, a massive black ring floated like a crown of death. Thousands of alien ships guarded it. And at the center of the ring was something the galaxy had never seen before: the heart of the weapon. It was the Council's greatest creation, built to find and destroy every human ship in the galaxy in one strike. A single pulse, and humanity would burn. But tonight, the Silent Star was coming. Commander Reyna Hale stood on the bridge of her ship, watching the star flicker in the distance. The entire crew was silent. No jokes, no smiles. Everyone understood. This mission was different. Eli leaned on the console, staring at the glowing red target on the map. "That's a fortress. 10 defense rings. Over 50 warships. And a weapon big enough to wipe us all out." Mara checked the power core. "If we fail here, there won't be a tomorrow." Reyna's eyes hardened. "Then we don't fail." The Silent Star moved into the shadow of an asteroid field, its cloak wrapping around it like smoke. This was their final hunt. Inside the fortress, Admiral Torvin watched the weapon with dark pride. The Council had given him command of the final defense. After the humiliations he'd suffered, this was his chance to crush the humans forever. "Activate perimeter scans," he barked. "If that cursed ship is out there, I want to see it." An officer hissed. "Sir, our scanners are clear." No sign of human movement. Torvin's lips curled into a cold smile. "Then let them come." Back on the Silent Star, Mara finished arming the EMP drones. "These won't break the weapon," she said, "but they'll blind the defenses long enough for us to get inside." Eli gave a sharp nod. "Once we're in, we hit the core. No speeches. No mercy." Reyna placed her hand on the console. "This is for everyone they thought they could silence." The battle began with a whisper. A Vakoran scout ship exploded without warning. Then another. Panic spread through the defense fleet. Ships turned their scanners in every direction but saw nothing. "The humans," someone shouted. "They're here." The Silent Star appeared like a phantom behind the outer ring, releasing hundreds of black drones that moved like a storm. They wrapped around defense towers, disabling them one by one. Explosions flashed across the darkness, shields failing. The Vakoran captain screamed, "Find them." Torvin roared, but they couldn't. The hunters were inside the cage now. "Punch a hole," Reyna ordered. The ship's rail cannons lit up, tearing through the ring. Metal broke like paper. The Silent Star shot through the gap into the heart of the fortress, straight toward the weapon core. Inside the fortress, alarms screamed. "Breach in Sector Delta." Human ship inside defense zone. Rayna's voice was steady. Mara, get us close to the core. Eli grinned despite the danger. Time to break their favorite toy. Deep inside the weapon's structure, glowing power veins pulsed like the heartbeat of a monster. If they didn't stop it, this pulse would kill millions of humans. Mara's drones attached to the core wall. 30 seconds to overload, she whispered, but Torvin wasn't done yet. His flagship, the Bloodfang II, broke formation and rushed straight toward them. Lock on the human ship, he shouted. End this now! The silent star shook violently as plasma blasts hit its side. Sparks flew across the bridge. Eli shouted, shields dropping fast. Rayna gritted her teeth. We finish this. No turning back. The battle turned brutal. Torvin's ship and the silent star spun around each other in a deadly dance. Human drones ripped through Vakoran cannons, while enemy plasma sliced through the dark. In the middle of the chaos, Mara's countdown reached 0. Rayna, she whispered, the core is armed. It'll blow. Then get us out. The silent star shot upward like a bullet, dodging enemy fire. Behind it, the glowing core began to crack and burn white-hot. Torvin stared at the screen as the alarm screamed. Critical failure. Core unstable. Weapon detonation imminent, his voice shook with rage. No, not again. The explosion that followed shook the entire sector. A blinding white light swallowed the fortress. Alien warships vanished in the blast. The massive weapon that was supposed to end humanity died in fire and silence. The silent star, damaged but alive, fled into the dark just before the shockwave hit. Hours later, in the quiet of space, the crew floated in silence. The stars looked calm again. Eli leaned back in his chair, exhausted. We did it. The biggest weapon in the galaxy. Gone. Mara wiped sweat from her forehead. They wanted to make us disappear. The silent star drifted through the black sea of space, silent as its name. The Council's weapon was gone. The Vakoran fleet was broken. And yet, no one on the ship celebrated. Because Rayna Hale and her crew knew something the galaxy didn't. The war wasn't over. In the quiet war room, a single hologram floated above the table, a blurred recording. It showed a dark figure watching the explosion of the weapon. The image was shaky, the voice distorted. Eli leaned forward, frowning. Who is that? Mara zoomed in, but the image only got darker. Not Council. Not Vakoran, someone else. Someone who wanted us to destroy the weapon. Rayna crossed her arms. A shadow behind the war. Eli looked uneasy. You think they planned all this? Rayna's voice was calm but hard. Yes, someone wanted the Council gone, and they used us to make it happen. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the alien council burned in chaos. Half their fleets were destroyed. Their most powerful weapon was ash. Leaders argued, shouted, and blamed each other. In the middle of the chaos, High Speaker Enthra slammed her claws on the table. They're in the shadows now, she hissed. The humans aren't the real danger anymore. Something else is moving. The council fell silent. The fear that once pointed toward humanity was now turning toward the unknown. Far away, inside a hollow asteroid, the hooded stranger stood in a cold chamber. A massive black map floated in front of him, showing human and alien space like a living creature. He moved one finger, and red lines spread through the map like veins. The galaxy is blind, the stranger whispered, and soon it will kneel. Behind him, figures in black armor stepped out of the shadows, tall, silent, and inhuman. Their faces were hidden. Their weapons were old, older than the Council itself. The real enemy had finally begun to move. Back on the silent star, Eli slammed a datapad on the table. Multiple colonies just went dark. Not attacked, just gone. Mara tapped rapidly at her console. No distress signals, no explosions. Just silence. Rayna's eyes narrowed. Show me the pattern. The map lit up. 4 human colonies, all on the edge of known space, had vanished one after another. No enemies spotted. No survivors. Eli's voice was low. This isn't the Council. This is something else. Rayna felt a chill she hadn't felt since the war began. They're not attacking fleets. They're erasing us. The crew gathered around the briefing table. We can't fight what we can't see, Eli said. Mara frowned. Then we make them visible. I've got a new drone prototype. It can read energy that normal scanners can't. If something's moving out there, we'll find it. Rayna nodded. Good. Prep the drones. We're going hunting. In the darkness of space, the silent star moved toward the last colony that vanished. It was a small mining world called Erebus 9. There were no signals, no ships, no lights. Eli stared at the planet through the viewport. It's too quiet. Mara released the drones. They spread out like silver fireflies, scanning the planet's orbit. At first, nothing. Then one of the drones sent back a signal. Not a ship, not a station, a shadow. A shape too large to be natural, wrapped in energy the scanners barely understood. "What the hell is that?" Eli whispered. Rayna's voice dropped to a whisper. "The real enemy." Suddenly, the shadow moved. It wasn't a ship. It was a massive structure hidden between space folds. A single red light flickered from it, like an eye-opening brace. Mara shouted. A silent wave hit the silent star. Lights flickered. Systems went offline for 3 seconds. No weapons fired. No explosion. But it felt like something touched the ship. Eli's hands shook. That wasn't an attack. That was a scan. "They're watching us," Rayna whispered. "Like hunters. Looking at prey." In the distance, the shadow structure slowly faded back into the dark, leaving no trace behind. Mara cursed under her breath. "We can't track it. We can't fight it. How do we kill a ghost?" Rayna turned toward her crew. "We don't run. We don't hide. We find where it came from." Elsewhere in the galaxy, the Council had the same problem. Their fleets were vanishing too. Entire outposts disappeared without alarms. High Speaker Inthra stared at the reports with shaking hands. "It's not humans," one of the generals whispered. "Something older. Something worse." The whispers were growing. Back on the silent star, Rayna stood alone on the dark bridge. She remembered the laughter of the Vakoran, their traps, their arrogance. That was simple. This was not. This was something born from the black between stars. Eli joined her quietly. "We beat the Council, but this feels different." Rayna nodded slowly. "Because it is. The Council wanted war. These things want silence." Eli frowned. "Silence?" Rayna's voice was low and cold. "Yes, they don't conquer. They erase." In a hidden corner of the galaxy, the hooded stranger stood before a great black gate pulsing with crimson light. His army gathered behind him, silent, endless. He lifted his hand. "The galaxy is weak. The humans woke us. Now the shadows rise." On the silent star, alarms began to ring. A new signal appeared on the map, massive, heading straight toward human space. Rayna turned to her crew. "This is it. The Council was the first storm. This is the real one." Mara locked down the systems. "Then we fight in the dark." Eli grinned weakly. "Like we always do." Rayna faced the stars, her voice steady and strong. They wanted silence. "Let's give them a war they'll never forget." The hunt wasn't over. It had only just begun. The silent star floated in the darkness of space, surrounded by cold stars that did not shine like before. The galaxy felt different now. It was quiet, the kind of quiet that warned of something terrible. Captain Rayna Hale stood at the front of the bridge, staring at the red dot moving closer on the map. It was huge, silent, and faster than anything the crew had ever seen. Eli broke the silence. "That thing is not slowing down." Mara's fingers danced on the console. "Shields are ready. Weapons are armed. But I don't think this is like fighting the Council." Rayna's voice was steady. "I know. This time it's not war. It's survival." Far away, the Shadow Fleet moved like a black storm. Thousands of invisible ships, silent, cold, perfect. No engines, no signals. Only their red eyes glowed faintly in the dark. At the center of the fleet, a single massive structure pulsed with red light. It wasn't just a ship, it was alive. A shadow empire that had slept for centuries had finally awakened. Inside that structure, the hooded stranger stood before a huge black gate. Around him, figures in armor knelt. "The galaxy has forgotten us," he whispered. "Tonight, it will remember." On the bridge of the silent star, Eli read the latest scans. Multiple colonies already gone. No survivors. No signals. It's like they were erased. Rayna clenched her fists. "They want fear." Total silence. Mara looked at her. "What do we do?" Rayna turned to her crew, her eyes burning with determination. "We fight back. But first we warn the galaxy." Within minutes, the silent star sent a wide transmission. "To all ships, human or alien, a new enemy is coming. It hides in the dark. It doesn't talk, it erases. If you hear this message, prepare. Do not run. Stand together. The message echoed across human space and deep into alien territory. Some listened. Some didn't. But in every corner of the galaxy, people felt a new kind of fear. The Shadow Fleet reached the outer line of human defense. A fleet of battle cruisers and defense satellites waited there, prepared to fight. They never got the chance. The Shadows didn't fire weapons. Instead, a wave of red energy washed over the defense line. One by one, the ships lost power. Lights went out. Engines died. Communication cut. The fleet simply vanished into the black. Eli's voice shook as he watched the feed. They didn't even fight. They turned us off like a switch. Rayna's jaw tightened. Then we find a way to turn the lights back on. Deep inside the ship, Mara worked on a secret system, a mirror signal. If it worked, they could reflect the energy wave back to its source, revealing the Shadow Fleet. But it was risky. Eli stood beside her, sweating. If this fails, we blow ourselves up. Mara didn't stop working. If we don't try, we're dead anyway. The Shadow Fleet moved closer. A giant red pulse was building inside their main structure. One more wave and human space would fall. Rayna gave the order. Fire the mirror signal. Mara hit the switch. The silent star lit up with a burst of white energy, brighter than the sun. It spread out like a wave across the void. For a moment, nothing. Then the shadows became visible. Thousands of black ships appeared around them, no longer hidden. Their hulls were old and cracked, covered in strange symbols. At their center, the living structure pulsed faster. Like a heart, Eli gasped. We found them. Rayna's voice was calm but fierce. Good. Now let's make them bleed. The silent star fired its weapons, joined by a few nearby human and alien ships who had received the warning. Explosions lit the sky. For the first time, the shadows were not hunting. They were being hunted. But the enemy was powerful. The living structure opened, releasing black drones shaped like blades. They moved fast, slicing through ships with no mercy. Mara shouted, "We can't win like this." "They're too many." Rayna's eyes narrowed. "Then we don't fight them all. We go for the heart." The silent star turned sharply and dove toward the center of the Shadow Fleet, toward the massive structure. Enemy drones followed like a swarm. Explosions shook the ship. Eli gripped the controls. "We won't make it," Rayna replied without hesitation. "Yes, we will. Because we have to." Inside the structure, the hooded stranger watched the human ship approaching.